you say metric concept. If you walk out, if you don't understand the concept, either I am really bad or you have been asleep. So this is where you should be taking away today is a piece of string. What resources have you got available to implement it is number one, and also have a corporate scorecard to implement the principles of a balanced scorecard and get things done. So you will leave today knowing how to do it, and you'll leave today with a few tools on how we can begin measurements. But please, I don't want you going back with an excuse that, all right, I know how to do it, so all I'll wait is for my corporate people to do it. No. We can do it in HR. We can actually push HR forward and be a leader. Looking, we're going right back to basics here, because during the introduction, some people have heard of it, some people have read the book, some people just don't know anything. So we're going to start right at the basic about what is a balanced scorecard. We'll look at how that then we can get the strategy and develop it and translate it into the scorecard. Performance drivers, only 34% of executives view HR as a strategic partner. It's rather a high figure, isn't it? Only a third actually thought this. Only 44% of respondents indicate their organisation communicates its strategy well. No surprise there. If I go in and ask people, what the strategy of the organisation is, nobody knows. I once stood at a desk, a reception desk. Behind the reception was the vision and mission of the company. I knew it had been there a while because there was a lot of dust on the frame. And I asked the receptionist, "What's the vision of your company?" She said, "I don't know, I've never heard of it." And yet the communication director says, "We've communicated this." No, you haven't. And it's the same with this kind of thing. We're not very good at communicating. The balanced scorecard does that, certainly amongst HR. Only 21% indicated that HR only deals with operational issues. Yeah, still seen as admin. And only 23%. That's right. I couldn't find it. I desperately tried to find it. That's the latest I've got. My intuition tells me nothing's changed. Okay, 27% now use a balanced scorecard. Management tool that provides stakeholders with a comprehensive measure of how the organisation is progressing towards the achievement of strategic goals. Does that seem like something that would be of use to you? No? No point? What we've got here is a tool, which by the way has been around for 15 years, that actually does all those things that people say you don't do. We have a tool here that provides you with a comprehensive measure of how you do it. How we're progressing. What HR tells me is, yes, the things we do, they're intangible. You can't touch them. It's motivation. You can't measure it. Yeah, all this kind of rubbish that people are talking about. People are really trying to get into this now. There's another rebranding going on at the moment, human capital. Let's have a look at that. Perhaps if we keep changing our name, I think personnel has become like a criminal. We need a new passport. HR, yes. And then we'll live like that for a few years. Oh no, they're onto us. They found out we're not doing anything. Let's rebrand ourselves, human capital. What we've got to do is actually take a look at these non-financial measures that you have, these intangible things that you talk about, and make that link. It can be done. The balanced scorecard helps you. It balances short and long-term measures. So we have strategy, long-term. Nowadays in Bangladesh, are you doing 3 or 5 year business plans? 5 years. Still on 5. 3. Make it 3. Nobody knows what's happening tomorrow, let alone 5 years' time. Most companies now are moving towards a 3-year business plan, but it's still a long time. And it gives us an excuse, doesn't it? But we have to be employer of choice by 2016. Whew. Don't have to do anything today then. Sorry, somebody was...
In telco industry is 3 years.
Yeah. I did some work for one telecom company in Ahmad, Naras, who are owned by QTEL. who you've obviously heard of, they went no further than a 1-year operating plan. They called it an AOP. I don't know if you know the term or not. We have something called a lagging indicator. These are outcome measures that help you gauge your HR progress by examining the final end result or outcomes of your collective efforts. Lagging is said because it usually takes a long time for something to happen. An example of a lagging indicator is something like retention. Do you measure retention? Or do you measure turnover? It's the opposite. Some people call it turnover. I prefer to say retention. I prefer to go to the board and say, well done, you managed to hold on to 90% of your workforce. That's retention indicators. We'll look at it over a period of months. So we'll say in 2013 we want to have retention at 96% or something like that. It's a lagging indicator because there's lots of things you've got to do to affect that particular outcome. And the things you have to do are things we call leading indicators. I think I've got a few examples or not. It's dependent on a lot of things underneath it. Customer retention outside of HR and employee productivity. These are really important indicators, and it says here, they have a direct bearing on a company's bottom line. If we can increase bearing on company performance, but what we have to focus on is the measures, the initiatives that affect those things. And that's where we get on to leading indicators. Process measures. Comes to the Balanced Scorecard. These are some examples. A reduction in absenteeism in key positions. We can do something today and see whether it's having an effect next month. Percentage increase in internal indicator there and there. And a number of positive comments from our customers, the wonderful people who work for us.
Why do you say absenteeism that you're leading in? Is it something we get in the long term? Is absenteeism, if it's a problem that you're dealing with for a long time in your organization, aren't we doing something today to get the results of less absenteeism in the long term?
Yes, we are. Excuse me. Absenteeism is a leading indicator of employee productivity or employee profitability. Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Would it be something that we get a result in a week? Like you said, like leading indicators is something where we get the results in, say, weeks or months. Would absenteeism be something that...
Still paying them. Now, in a situation like my truck drivers, there would be a financial benefit because we're saving on overtime. Our outcomes are big measures that have a direct effect on finance. Let's see if this exercise makes it clear. If you turn to the second stage of the book, we'll do this just before tea. That's how to motivate people. What I'd like you to do, as a table, please, as a table, so use it as a group discussion. What are the performance drivers that we should have? What measures should we have in HR? Good one? I think so. Okay. Let's go. I'm going to give you...
within short time. So do we agree that training that would be one of the leading? And आज के अपने day training के plan করছেন, the training that you're planning. Do you agree? কারণ আমি যেভাবে চিন্তা করছি, if you want to increase your productivity or if you want to see your performance at a specific level, you have to plan something today. And আপনি যদি A থেকে B তে যেতে চান, তাহলে এই training টা শিখবেন, that is plan from that.
Just a few measures. A couple of outcome measures, a couple of leading indicators. Yeah.
Quality recruitment cover. Quality means the resource quality and evaluating.
Quality measure deadline
the reason behind it.
A few years later, which is the lagging. So retention is
Maybe you've taken in somebody, at the end of 6 months you realize you're not taking the right.
Exactly.
Result after 1 year.
at least 6 months.
It depends on the probation.
So the usually we do
Then should we include KPI for this? Because if you don't have KPI, then I'm not doing
activity as well as deadline. So that would be one indicator that we're doing okay toward, we can see that move quite quickly. Whereas overall employee productivity is going to be a slow thing to turn. This is one thing. Am I making sense? Yes? That's right.
Good one. I think career path is a good one. It's very tangible. Measuring that career. এটা যেটা হচ্ছে ধরেন আপনারা রিটেনশনটাকে যদি ল্যাগিং করি দুটো পয়েন্ট আমরা রিটেনশনের হচ্ছে পালস হচ্ছে নেগেটিভ পজিটিভ ফিডব্যাক আর একটা উনি যেটা বললেন ক্যারিয়ার পাথ মেট্রিক্স which is আমরা ইন্ডিকেটরস গুলো সার্চ করছি I can measurable or that so career path matrix is very tangible so এটা ক্লিয়ারলি আপনারা দেখতে পাবেন আগামী কোনো ফিডার রোলে গেলে আপনি কি হবে নন ফিডার রোলে গেলে process different processes of talent management exactly তাহলে ওটা কি